I started my advocacy campaign against FGM since 2008 based on my personal experience after I got my first daughter in 2007 November. I was in labor for 3 days, and at some point I almost gave up because of the delivery complications and all that. And I could only hear my mom crying from a distance saying, I wish my daughter comes out of this safe. And she didn't even care about what I was going to deliver, because I would just hear her screaming and saying, oh God, just save my daughter. I was in labor pains for 3 days, and the first day it was the pain as usual, and for the second day is when now the traditional birth attendants and all the other women were surrounding me, and everyone else was waiting now for the child because I was unable to give birth. They gathered like almost 3 TBAs there, everyone saying the head is coming, but it's not coming out because of the space. So they had to cut me, like they cut this side, they cut anyhow. And do you know what? I was not even feeling the pain of the cut they were doing at that time. It was just so much, it was too much for me. They cut like, oh, cut here, maybe the head will come out. In the morning, they were like, can we take her to the hospital? And I said, no, this is something you guys did to me. Let me deal with it. Whether I recover or whether I give birth or I die, this is a do or die. Let me just go through it. And they were like, okay, we can wait. And I gave up on life, and I told my mom, Mom, if I get through this, I forgive you. If I don't get through this, I also forgive you. But know that you have really, really caused me a lot of pain. I knew whatever I was going through was because of FGM. Why? Because when I was a little girl, I used to look after goats and all that. And I knew they just give birth just like that. We are human beings. This is the way God created us. We were created to give birth just normally. How on earth can you give birth while the traditional birth attendant is cutting you in every direction? And this is now your body is being cut in every corner. They tear you up the way they want. I didn't even know what I gave birth to at 11 a.m. So when I realized it's a girl, a baby girl, and I said, my daughter, you will not go through what I went through. I promise you that. That's my promise to you. Let me go through this. If I heal and recover, that will be my promise to you. When I recovered fully now on February, I stepped out of the house. I started questioning my mother. Mom, why did I have to go through all that pain? And she was like, Sadia, but that's what every other woman goes through. It's not you alone. I also gave birth to you the same way. Are you different? What is it that you see as a different thing? It's normal for everyone, even your grandmother, everyone else in the family went through FGM. So, and are you sure that the pain you went through was because of FGM? And I was like, yes. Now my daughter was just a little baby. I didn't even tell her to look after her. I used to tie a piece of cloth, we call it pembea in Kiswahili, the swing. So I put my daughter there. I put her to sleep. After I see she's now asleep, I go and see other women, talk to them, now convince them and tell them, why are we going through all this? And they were telling me, but Sadia, you know, this is our culture. Who will marry a woman who is not cut? No, this is something, this is good. This is our culture, we embrace it. And I said, no, this is wrong. And they will see me like a mad person. The other step I did is now going around houses, telling women we should stop this. That's how my campaign started. And they were like, they had to report me to a DC, that back then they were called, the county commissioners now, back then they were called DCs. So they reported me and said, there is a woman who is disturbing our peace of mind. She comes and telling us to stop our culture. Why? And he said, call for that lady. I went to his office. He asked me, young lady, what are you doing that you are making people reporting you? And I said, based on what I went through, the experience I had during my delivery, I don't think FGM is a good thing. It should stop immediately. And to my surprise, he congratulated me. He told me, young lady, congratulations. Thank you for the work you are doing. That was the first support I get. I started now approaching my age mates, my schoolmates who are Pokomos, who don't go through the cut. They're still Muslims, but they don't cut. So when I approached them, I asked them, my friends, how was your delivery? And I asked them, just be honest with me. Were you cut when you were giving birth? And they were like, no, we just pushed the baby and that was it. If I take you back, why I didn't complain when I was cut? And I'm complaining when I was giving birth. When I was very young, when you are not cut, there is a lot of stigma from fellow girls and also women. You know, I was cut at the age of 10. Before that, you know, we fetch water. You want to play with the rest of girls. There is a lot of stigma. They call you a name that you will hate yourself. They call it bara. You are unclean. You are smelling. That's what they say. And I was eagerly waiting for the day I will also be clean and as perfect as them. Little did I know that when you are not cut is when you are perfect. God creation is perfect. You don't have to change anything. I was schooling, but again the schools were closed. So and my dad was not even around, and the cutter was my grandmother. So she called relatives, and I knew I was very happy, and I knew I was very excited. I knew this is the day I will also be as good as the rest of the girls. I was taken to the bush. Now, the women who come there are very many. Some of them hold your legs, some your hands. Because of course, because of the pain and all that, you cannot resist. So you must move, and if you move, if you make any move, the cutter might cut or damage your tissues somewhere that was not even intended to be cut. And for me, in the first place, I thought that when you are going through FGM is something that is being done once. When I went there, now the cutter was my grandmother. My mom was just somewhere else cooking tea, preparing tea, and also there is something we call bun. Bun is, I think, coffee berries. Yes. So they put oil, cooking oil, until it turns and it brings that smell. It's a traditional way or a spiritual way of doing things. So now I was laid down. My mom, of course, she can't even look at me. There was that woman, I still remember, she took a cloth and put into my mouth, and she was holding me. And at some point, I was even struggling to breathe, because it's like she doesn't want me to scream because of the pain. She was like, and I would, even the nose, and I don't know, I was almost suffocating. There are those others who hold my legs, others the hands, and there was one who was pressing down my chest to the ground so that I don't even move. It was horrible. It was a moment that I don't want even to recall and remember. Now, what happens is they don't cut at once. And I don't know actually what they cut inside. I don't know. Because I would just see the razor blade, the sound, and now the pain with the sound, it's horrible. So if you have ever shaved your hair, you can tell the kind of sound I was hearing, and this is your meat going. It's not the hair, it's the meat. So after they are finished, they were like cutting this side, top, and there are others, their only business is to direct the cutter. You know, no, you have left here, and I don't know what is this left. You see? So after some time, I was put somewhere. Now, they took, there is a medicine we call hildid. It's a medical herb, hildid, it's called hildid. They grind together with charcoal, the black charcoal, with hildid, and then they apply it to the wound. They believe it avoids the blood from coming out, flowing, because of course somewhere that has been cut, there is this blood that comes out. So they believe it stops the blood. Now they also tie you from the waist up to the toes. They tie together the toes. You can't even move a step until there is a small hole they have dug for you to sit and urinate. So because they don't want you to go for a long call, they don't give you food on the first 1 week, because they want the space to stitch together completely healed, and they leave you a small opening. So what happened is that for me, a whole month I was bleeding. Like I stay 1 week, after 1 week I start bleeding again, and I don't know why. So they use this, and I even turned yellow. They can't even take me to the hospital. My dad came, and he was asking, where is my daughter? You know, I loved my dad so much. Whenever he comes from a trip, I will be the first person to greet him. So he was like, where is Sadia? And they will tell him, she's busy, Duxi, and they will say, no, why is she not coming to me? And his mother actually faced him, because my mom was afraid. She told him Sadia was cut, but unfortunately she's not like the rest of the girls, she's bleeding, and we don't know why. So when he came, he saw the pieces of the clots of blood there. I was lying on skin. During our time, we used to sleep on skin. There was no this fashion of mattresses and all that. So he was like, no, I can't even go near her. He just went out. His mother, who was now my grandmom and the cutter, now had to talk to him. They sat somewhere, and he was told, this is normal. This is probably just a normal process for everyone else. So it's nothing serious. She will recover, she will heal, and it will be forgotten. So another extra month I had to continue recovering, and fortunately enough, when I recovered, I went back to school, and I thought it was just a normal thing, and every other girl went through it. So it's a done and dumped deal.
We were born perfect. Do not destroy our beautification. No need for mutilation. Give us education. Protect our rights from any violation. We will speak out and reject any form of mutilation, because we are the proud African girls. Why are girls?